Happy holidays! I remembered. Well done. Well done, me.
It's the
remembering it's the
14th,
holidays.
but we'll round that up. We're feeling the
Yeah,
holiday cheer today.
it's that
Joy
time of
and
year.
cheer, even.
And I can't spell happy holidays because I've run out of H's. No, yeah, it's the holidays. This is it. I've only got one more day of work left. It's basically Christmas.
I need a EU vacation plan over here. I'm in all next week.
I mean, saying that, I'm still going to be here next week because my laptop broke. So I'm going to be sorting that out. So well done, fun. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this festive episode of Keys to AWS Optimization, the show where we share stories, concepts, and solutions to help you unlock your spend at AWS. My name is Steph Gooch, and I'm a senior optimization architect. Savannah?
My name is Savannah Jensen, and I am a senior FinOps success manager here on the optics team at AWS. And today we're going to be doing a little Christmas carol of our own and talking about FinOps and cost optimization, past, present, and future.
Yeah, don't worry. There's going to be no singing.
No ghosts either. Steph
No
promised
ghosts.
me this time.
I should have. It would have been funny if I'd kept the ghost picture and then just been able to flash it up there. If you don't know what we're talking about, please go and check out the rest of the YouTube channel. I'll throw up here. Keys to AWS Optimization on YouTube if you're watching us live, or if you're on the channel, go and look at the Halloween episode to see me say Savannah many times on that episode.
Spooked. Absolutely spooked.
So past, present, and future. So what we thought about was, again, we're doing a little bit of a fun episode today. And what we were thinking is we're going to look at some of the stuff that we've moved away from, some of the past of FinOps, what is happening at the moment in the world of FinOps, and what we are predicting for 2024. Maybe we could even check back on those predictions next year. But before we kick up, just a reminder, any questions, comments, please feel free to put them in the chat if you're watching live, and if you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on the podcast. Don't forget to give this video a like, drop us a comment, question, anything you have. And anything you want to follow up on, please email costoptimization@amazon.com for any of your questions. So, past. Savannah,
Yes.
You jumped in immediately with something that you wanted to show with the past.
Yeah. So earlier this year, I had my 5-year anniversary at Amazon, and I made a little LinkedIn post that was all of the things that I was older than, and it got quite a bit of traction. And I was thinking about that again yesterday when we were kind of like preparing for this and realizing like exactly how much this space has developed and exactly how much our tools have developed in the past 5, now almost 6 years. And I mean, every year we do reInvent. There are a bajillion new launches that we're super excited about, but I think kind of being in it every day and solving problems every day, sometimes we forget exactly how far we've come. Not a ghost, definitely a jump scare. We have a screenshot of what Cost Explorer looked like in 2015. So,
I mean, basic.
There's a lot there.
I'll take it. I wonder if I've got it in a better view so I can share my screen. No, let's go for this. I'll share my screen so we can talk next to it. But yeah, where did you find this? Do you remember?
It was in a training. I was like looking through old trainings internally, and oh, that was odd.
What's happening?
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, it was in a training internally, and I barely even recognized it as Cost Explorer. And I mean, if you think about Cost Explorer, like even 2 months ago, it's come a long way in 2 months. We now have resource level granularity available for services. We've got 38 trailing months of data instead of just 12. We've got more colors than just whatever red
Christmas
blue
colors
is going on here.
It's festive. So, is that?
It is festive, I guess. And I feel like it's just like the present Cost Explorer is such a more usable tool than what you see in this screenshot. So we were really in the trenches back then.
I feel like I remember, and I used to talk about this a lot. Oh, before I do, love the Christmas sweaters. Thank you very much. I'm slaying all the way. I'm going quite, I would say American because it's Wonder Woman, but then she's Amazonian. So kind of Brandon and
My excuse is that I'm moving. I don't know if that's like really what's going on here, but I have a Come On England sweater. I don't even know if it's like truly Christmas, but it reads as Christmassy to me. So
yeah.
I'm wearing it.
100%. Was I remember back in the day, and this is what my I think Reinvent talk last year was based on, was back when you would go on Cost Explorer and it would only show you the top 5 services. And this is something that's like the last 2 years they fixed.
Yeah.
And it would show you across the top only 5. And then previously when you looked below, you'd have to export the CSV to see all of them. And that was just like such a pain. And that would be so annoying. But now at least you can see what 7
Top
and then
9. Top 9 and other.
And the other spend.
Yeah.
One of the other questions that we had, which we're going to use the poll for, I'll throw this out there now if I go live. There we go. All right, who remembers savings plans launching in the chat? Drop us a 1 for yes, 2 for no if you remember AWS doing this, because I remember it because people kept messaging me about it. I don't know if you had this, Vanna. Were you working here when they were released?
I was, yeah. I like just ingrained in my memory how chaotic that day was.
I love this. So most people are old enough in FinOps to remember this. One person doesn't. So welcome, newer person. This person who got Dizzy 2. But the FinOps, I remember, very distinctly. I think it came out, and then everyone in my office was like, "Oh, Steph, have you heard of this?" And I was like, "Yes," because I listened to FinOps announcements. And it was, I think, I remember when it came out, and the stress of like, what do we buy? How do we buy? Like, because it wasn't like previously when we've been doing purchasing strategy was 1 year annual purchasing. We hadn't figured out staircasing was the best way of doing it for us. And so we had to staircase a little bit with savings plan. But I remember committing $1 per hour just to see what happened to the curve, because that was like a big red, like, where did that money go? But how was it for you internally?
Chaotic, to say the least. I was working in concierge at the time. I had like a subset of kind of larger customers that I was supporting that had some more sophisticated needs, but I still had view access to the support ticket queue for enterprise support. And when they launched savings plans, if y'all don't remember this, they essentially launched it live in Cost Explorer first in the morning at about 9 a.m. Pacific, and didn't publish documentation on it until about, I want to say like 2 or 3 p.m. Pacific time. Wow. So there was this stretch of time where we suddenly had this menu in Cost Explorer, but no documentation on what it was. And we just got flooded with support tickets. As I'm sure you know, there is a lot of savings plan documentation at this point, and a lot of it was published later that day. But it was certainly kind of a chaotic 6 hours of shift as customers were calling in saying, "Hey, what is this?" And we're like, "We can't really point you to anything right now. Check back in. It's a new launch. It's super new. Just give it a bit. Maybe refresh tomorrow and look at the documentation there." And then the other thing that took a little bit was the recommendations tooling when it first came out was very much suited to, I guess, how the payer level purchase of a compute savings plan was originally designed, which is understandable given that that's how you will get the most savings, given that your payer account hopefully has no workloads in it. That recommendation will take into account how you can purchase a compute savings plan that will apply to the highest discount margin spend in your ecosystem. That is not how all customers purchase savings plans.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks decide to purchase at the linked account level for a myriad of reasons. Could be cost allocation, could be prioritizing a certain workload spend. Lots of kind of choices that you can make there that would make that a logical choice. We did not have any recommendations tooling on that for, I want to say, about 6 months. So that first week, it was kind of a mad dash internally to develop some sort of internal Excel modeling or some sort of tool that we could use to mock that up and provide linked account level recommendations. So definitely a bit chaotic there at the start.
But the lack of, it's grown. I feel like this is a good a good, not transition, but like the fact that there's so many, and we look at reInvent announcements, will move us on to present, but the fact that there are so many sets of information recommendations, and shout out Rob Rick. I'm reading Rob. Shout out to separately, shout out to Rob. Yes, I was demonstrating Cool Rock One with my $1. But shout out to Rick, who has been a guest on here a bunch, who's really, I think, driven a lot of the updates, and we love Rick, so he's smashing it.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Saying that, before we move on to our present, why don't we just do another little poll? So this one, there's no right answers, there's no one or two, but what's the best holiday film? So I would say my favorite holiday film, I say best in here. Is it the best? But I love the Santa Claus. Have you seen that, Savannah?
Probably in like 2004. I'm sure it was on TV at some point.
Specifically the Santa Claus 2. Like not 1, 2, not 3.
What's different about him?
So the first one is about him becoming Santa Claus. The second one is about him having to find a wife.
What?
But it's the same. Again, we were saying about how problematic some of the old films were before we started this. And I'm like, yeah. And then the third one is about Jack Frost trying to steal Christmas. So they kind of dip and cross. But yeah, the second one is a really good scene where he gives all these teachers presents, and I just love it. So just a shout out, Die Hard, I do accept as a Christmas film because I think it's popular culture. Is good to know. National Lampoon, I've never seen this. But this is American, and I do want to check it out. We've got another
all things American.
Yes. Yeah. And Elf classic. The Nightmare Before Christmas is, I definitely think, the best Christmas film. The musical is the best. And The Grinch. Which Grinch? There's like 3 different versions as well. I've never seen A Wonderful Life. Sad thing.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's an American thing.
Oh, they broadcast it on basically every channel, or at least they used to, like on a loop for the entire holiday season when I was little. Maybe that was just like public television in the Midwest, but I've seen it a lot.
It's one I'm like, I should go and check that one out. I did watch the other day, then we'll move back onto the topic, but Xmas, about like somebody going home for Christmas and their ex is there, and it was like so bad. Like it's not so bad, it wasn't that bad, but it's just like one of the Hallmark Christmas film vibes.
One thing I actually really enjoy about holiday movies, and I'll group like horror movies into this too. Halloween's a holiday, kind of, right? As I feel like a lot of them kind of have permission to be campy and silly and bad. Like if you think about the Hallmark Channel, it's just the same story with like vaguely different actors that have semi-human sounding names all the time, and like it's just good fun. Like horror movies, they can be campy and stupid. It's just good fun. So it's nice that the holiday films just give you permission to do that. Like just blank check to check out and watch something funny.
Scene when it's like all of them and they're all like the same color palette. So it's like they all look exactly the same. Anyways, okay, back onto FinOps. So FinOps present. So when we were talking about this, we obviously reInvent just happened. We weren't on the reInvent recap episode, so we hope that you enjoyed that with Alex and the guys on there. If you are watching us on YouTube or you're watching us online, remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because Savannah and I do our Cost News Digest, which we're releasing next week for December. So make sure to just subscribe to check out that with all of our opinions and views of the news announcements. What was that?
reInvent announcements.
Is that like sign language for reInvent?
I don't know. Sparkles. Stuff.
So one thing, I think it was either you or Alex said when we were chatting about the present time with FinOps, was that we've seen that rather than previously many years, we've started to get the data. So like you said, we've had right sizing recommendations. Over time, we've had more trusted advisor things come out. But what's happened more recently is we're seeing like a one pane of glass view of this kind of stuff. So you were saying this about cost optimization hub, right?
Absolutely. I think in general, kind of the trend has been seeing these pieces of tooling trickle in, right? And now we're at the point where we've kind of established what's helpful and what folks use, and it's all about bringing them into a more usable framework. So if you think to like what the CID looked like in 2018, it didn't. And now we've got a bunch of different dashboards that you can kind of deploy all in tandem through the well-architected labs. And now suddenly with reInvent, a way to deploy a QuickSight dashboard using data exports. All of that is super helpful. It prevents you from having to like pop in and out of a bunch of different places, minimizes the amount of tools you have to maintain. With the Azure dashboard for QuickSight, that kind of completes the framework a little bit more. And with reInvent this year, we also saw Cost Optimization Hub and Unified Billing and Cost Management Console. Practiced that name before. Look at me go. So it's a lot more centralized. We're closer to having kind of that one single pane of glass that you can use to look at all of your recommendations and really monitor everything across the entire AWS footprint that you have.
I think that solves a couple of problems that FinOps people have seen, because if you think about it especially from a FinOps practitioner point of view, there is having access to the data is always like the fundamental thing you have to do first. Like when we think of the crawl, like Rob just mentioned, that is I always think anyway, the first thing is get the data. And now we've simplified that, especially if you highlighted like kudos with the optimization data collector that we have that pulls it into a data lake that's multi-pair. That was finished, I think, at the start of this year. And so there's so many opportunities to like bring it all together. And then that takes away the effort you have to spend on doing that. And that's like speeds up your integration. So now if somebody is watching this today, maybe and is brand new to FinOps, they're thinking, oh, okay, I don't have to go muck around with having to pull this random data. I can just choose what I need and it's right in front of me. So it makes my life a little bit simpler.
Yeah, visibility is always kind of the foundation, right? You can't change what you can't measure. If you don't know what your costs are, you can't do a ton about them. And the visibility of having the ability to see everything all at once and to have that kind of like 5,000 foot view that you can look down on is super important to making those changes quickly and to having a comprehensive understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, and we'll do this when we get on to the next bit, but I'm looking forward to seeing how these things grow. Is there anything else you're thinking that at the moment, especially looking back, has improved a lot with the world of FinOps?
I think just recommendations tooling, and we kind of touched on this, but again, like I'm showing my age, my AWS age here, but when I started, like we didn't even have any sort of right sizing recommendations tooling. I remember, like vividly remember being in a roundtable for when we initially launched the right sizing recommendations report in Cost Explorer and discussing what that should look like, what was usable for customers, what would be helpful for them, and kind of how the reporting should look and how whether or not we should be able to export a spreadsheet, right? And now we have Cost Optimization Hub. We've got a unified compute optimizer view for basically everything in your organization. That's come so far in such little time.
Yeah. And oh wait, I'm thinking of it. Oh wait, what did you click on?
The same thing.
Sorry. I love that. Shadow Fox has said, we didn't even have RI recommendations in Cost Explorer or utilization or coverage. That is, I remember having to like make with Nathan Besh from reInvent back in the day, like calculating like all the coverage through like exporting the data into QuickSight, having to do it yourself. Like the fact that didn't exist. And even with the newer, like just yeah. So if you haven't, a big summary point for that is go check out your, Savannah, say the title.
Unified Billing and Cost Management Console.
Thank you, because I have not. I need to. She's memorized it. I have not. But this is Wade. Hi, Wade. Awesome. Speaking about reInvent, we've had. What was your favorite part of reInvent? Well, we didn't do our episode last week, so quick segue.
Oh, yeah.
Savannah, what was your best part of reInvent this year?
Oh, geez.
Hanging out with me.
Yeah, hanging out with stuff. Smuggling a bunch of Funko Pops in my suitcase to give.
Can't even see them all. I would adjust my camera if it didn't cause everything to fall over. But there's like two more above this, and then shout out Andy who got me this one. I'm gonna figure out. Don't worry, guys. I know everyone's really invested in my Funko Pop journey. And if you've watched our series, just go back over the last like 2 months and you'll see this tower has progressively grown. I'm going to figure out how to display them in a more tasteful way.
I think,
but sorry.
To actually answer your question in a very earnest way, though, I think the best part of reInvent like is always interacting with customers. But particularly this year, I was in a builder session for Amazon Billing Conductor, which is kind of used by a more niche group of AWS customers than most of our cost tooling. And all of the folks who came to the sessions were pretty advanced on the service, like were already using it, knew what it was, had really educated questions, and were able to kind of turn that into a really good discussion and solution some of the kind of things that they had that they were trying to overcome with it. So not to be cheesy, but talking to customers at the builder session that I hosted was my favorite part.
No, that's good. That's good. I was trying, like, obviously we had a lot of fun. It was very different this year. I think I had 4 sessions, 1 repeat. Savannah had 4 builder sessions and I had 4 sessions. We both had one a day. So it's a very different structure to one we did previously. But I really enjoyed doing different types of sessions. So I did 3 different types of sessions, and you've really taken the custom one, so I can do a more vain one. But like doing the different types of sessions and really like interacting with the audience, trying new things, trying new types of sessions. Alex and I did a code talk, which was live coding and querying in front of an audience, and that was really good fun. So yeah, it was all those things. But it's always like reInvent is always good to go and see all the people that you never get to see normally. So that's always a fun time. And hearing about the announcements by chatting to people is always good as well. Okay, all right, on to future. Oh, and Q is so exciting. That is a good point to maybe bring us on to the next thing, which is people are starting to use more. I mean, does Q count as AI? I've just said that, about to say that, but
I think so.
Yeah, okay. There's so many things moving forward with technology in general. We've obviously seen a massive shift in things like QI and QI. What is it?
Gen AI?
Gen AI. Yeah, what am I saying? QI is a TV show in England. I really went off. The letters today, I've been mixing them up like no one's business. But yeah, so in terms of Gen AI and things like that, or anything, what do you think? Let's like, if you were going to make a prediction for something that's going to happen in 2024, not necessarily a service, but QI. I'm literally. Thanks, Rob. What would you think people will be focusing on in the next year?
Ooh, I mean, I think Gen AI is a really big buzzword right now. And everybody's talking about it and starting to think about how they want to use it in their business. I don't know if we're going to be at this space by this time next year where we have like a very cut and dry application for everything Gen AI and every facet of the business. But I think we'll have our feet under us a little bit more as to where that could be used specifically and what we can use it for in a FinOps capacity and just a technical capacity. I think we'll see a lot of our recommendations tooling get kind of an upgrade on the back end as we kind of continue to work through the machine learning piece. And I would anticipate kind of all of the tooling that we do have becoming a little bit more accurate and a little bit more usable, which I guess is always the goal.
Yeah. It's interesting because people have asked me about it. I think somebody asked me, like I was walking around reInvent and I got stopped by a camera crew and they were like, "Can we ask something?" And I was like, they were like, "What's exciting?" And I was like, "Gen AI." I was just like, that's the answer. Everyone always cares about Gen AI. But I think seeing both how people use it for optimization will be interested. I know a few people who have, this isn't necessarily that, but like created bots. I think someone in our team threw one of our episode captions or whereas into a system, and then it kind of created some knowledge. And I know that Stephen over on AWS Made Easy have created a RAL bot of his co-host by ingesting loads of that stuff. I'm hoping to go on their show and do something similar, which would be quite fun. But there's so many things people are doing to kind of simplify the process. And if we say in a year's time that rather than having, because I think a lot of the times I'm seeing FinOps teams are now established. It's now a thing companies have, but they're often being like pulled in lots of different directions. They're being pulled in one direction to do budgeting and forecasting by senior management. They're getting pulled into the direction of being optimized. And then they've got all the devs saying, well, how do we do this thing? We're now getting tracked on it. How do we optimize? So kind of maybe even making something that allows them to be a bit like simpler and ask those questions in a central place will make things easier. Oh, there we go. Oh no.
I'm not going to click. You click.
I locked my screen by accident. So Gen AI like Q will not be called out as a separate product. Gen AI will just be built in each product. Oh, is it like an idea? Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. So I'm intrigued to see how it kind of unfolds. And also optimizing it. I think that's one of the other things that some people on our team have started looking at is these services. In all honesty, guys, we've been out of the country. Well, I've been in the same country. I've been out of the country for 2 weeks, and I haven't sat down and been able to ingest a lot of things like Bedrock and stuff like that. So I have no idea how the pricing structure is done yet. And hopefully, if you like it, then drop in the comments. Let us know if you want us to do an episode of Bedrock. We will listen. We'll do that, and we'll start to learn a little bit more about optimizing that. Okay.
Yeah, I think in general. And I got this talking to customers at reInvent too, some of the meetings that I did. It was a lot of how can we just dump everything into this right now, which isn't necessarily, I think, how it's going to go, especially in FinOps, because so much of FinOps is outside of just the console. It's about building culture. It's about understanding what your business is going to look like and thinking about what your roadmap looks like and building a strategy around that. So Gen AI can certainly help in a lot of very tangible ways, but there's always that human element that I think we have to be conscious of too.
Yeah. And Rob is sucking up to the Alexas. I hope mine doesn't trigger off. I, for one, welcome the new AI overlords. And I hope they don't find my lack of optimism for their immediate takeover disappointing. Do you know what I realized of the day? I say thank you when I ask a question to my like Alexa and Siri and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's weird. Do you yeah. But Siri
it's just being polite.
Yeah. It's just like, but Siri says, you're welcome. And I'm like, oh, thank you, Siri. Well, my Siri does. Siri. Mine likes me. Okay, very last bit. We've got like 2 minutes left. Richard can start pulling up what we've learned from this episode, which is probably that there are a lot of Christmas films I haven't seen and Span hasn't seen. But what do you have for Christmas? I'm always intrigued by this. Like, what are people asking for Christmas? Savannah, what are you asking for? Or do you know you're getting anything specific for Christmas?
I just want to be moved. I'm in the process of moving right now, and it's been in process for like more than a month, and I just want to be done. That's all I want. What about you, Steph?
I obviously want more Funko Pops. No,
oh. Your tower is too tall. We already talked about this.
You're gonna come back, and I'm just gonna be like surrounded in like a cave built of Funko Pops. No, do you know what I want? I want my laptop fixed / to get a new laptop. Let's have a look. We've got some great suggestions. I'm not putting up that one, Cloud Without Strife. That's not going on the episode. They know why. The English Siri to be more polite. Do you mean like this is the English one? It is polite. I love it. I want keys to be an hour. Rob, Santa might come through with this one.
Rob. We really appreciate it. We will use that to advocate to the service team internally.
A screenshot that. Data transfer prices to be reduced. Okay, that one I don't think we have any control of, but I do recommend checking out our data transfer episodes to maybe help you reduce your spend as a little segue. Okay, right. Just to finish off, Richard, do you want to pull up, Secret Richard, do you want to pull up your summary points for the slide? And let's make us down here. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. The last one of the year. Will it load? There we go. Past things could be worse. Oh, that's so funny.
That's so real.
I love that. Present, clear single player glass, love it. And here comes Gen AI. And happy holidays all. Thank you, Richard. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Just as a reminder, we will be back on the 18th of January with season 9. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have an amazing holiday, New Year, all that stuff. And yeah, good luck with all your optimization stuff in the meantime. See you.